Hello everyone, this is a 3v3 tournament battle for the LH tournament. It is LH versus BSA. I'm playing as France, the crew is playing as Prussia, and Warsolian is playing as Prussia, all for LH. And for BSA, Rizgard is playing as Prussia. And Jocelyn is France, and Dave is playing as GB. So we've never played BSA before. We didn't really know much about them. We just heard they were actually a pretty good clan. So we came into this not really knowing what to expect from them. The plan basically was to take the flanks and move around on the sides. And here you've got Jocelyn and the crew doing a little bit of light on light, and the same here for Dave and Warsolian. There's a bit of militia there in front of Dave's lines, and here's a little bit of the same for me, a little bit of light on light there and a light on lights. My artillery is also firing. I've got a howitzer. I believe the crew's also got a howitzer. I think that's the only artillery in the game. I'm just pulling back here because I don't want to get shot at by the lines, so I'm pulling back. Basically what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and get onto Rizgard's flank, and I'm going to try and push really heavily down by the red line as his right hand, my left hand side. So if I can take that flank, then I can sweep round him, which is what I'm planning to do. So here I'm going to move my lights up first to take the shot. As it turns out they don't fire, my cavalry is going to move in, and also I've got 3 old guard units on this flank who are also going to move up behind it all. So my cavalry are going to hit in. He will be forming a square in a second, I believe. Yep, there's one square, the other one didn't. So he took some losses. Another one's just full square now. My cavalry's just gone straight past the squares. It's going to continue attacking the lights. So my old guard are moving up, and my lights are moving up. So my old guard are having a few shots there. I've brought 2 more cavalry units in across. They're going to hit the other 2 lines that are stood there. I'm going to try and route these guys as quickly as possible as I can on Rizgard's right. If I can route them very, very quickly without too many losses, then fine. But Rizgard's also got a lot of cavalry behind, as you can see here, which he brings up to try and support. Luckily the French cavalry is quite a bit better, so they managed to hold on long enough for me to destroy what I need to destroy. So a few of the lines are routing. And just shooting up the cavalry there. The old guard's still firing. There's a couple of cavalry routing, and a Fusilier unit, his light unit routing too. So I'm going to continue to move up and sweep round. So my cavalry is also still in there now. He's charged again. I was actually very surprised about how little damage my cavalry charges did. They didn't seem to affect their cavalry at all in any way. As I've said before, I don't like fighting cavalry on cavalry, but because he had so much of it, I had to try and pin them down so I could shoot them up. But my cavalry seemed to be pretty ineffective as it was to charging them, which is surprising considering how much better they were. So here on the opposite flank, Warsolian's just still in the light on light fight with Dave. Not really too much is happening. Jocelyn's moved up a little bit, but they're still in light on light as well. So this is Rizgard's flank. As you can see, pretty much all his lines on his flank are now gone. He's got a couple of cavalry units left. That's it. So they're trying to charge me on full square. So the cavalry units will eventually rout away. He does have a couple more cavalry that he's also bringing across, and I believe the French player Jocelyn also brings a couple of cavalry across and supports him as well in a second. So my lights are just moving up to get some free shots against this line. Obviously they outrange them, so they're just getting some free shots against the line at the moment. And as you can see in the background, more Prussian cavalry coming across up here. And also in the background there's some French cavalry as well who have been harassing me. So here I'm just allowing them to take shots at these lights of mine while I'm hitting them with artillery.
Our men are running, sir.
As I've got a stake line up, they're you're going to use a lot of ammunition to try and kill these guys. These particular lights, the French, are very difficult to kill anyway. And with the stake line there, they end up shooting a lot of the stakes. So this is an old guard unit of Jocelyn's, who's actually between mine and Decrew's flank, who causes us quite a bit of problems. So as you can see on this flank, I lost pretty much all my cavalry, but I've got all 3 old guard units. They've lost a few men, but they're still there, still fighting intact. So they're going to be basically the reason I win this battle on that side. This is a Prussian musketeer unit, just firing off, but as I say, they're shooting straight at the stake line. So they're going to use a lot of ammunition trying to kill them, not a lot of anything really. Here the old guard are firing at one of my Polish units, and that Polish unit will rout away. The old guard are very, very good. And my lights have moved up here. His line of retiring as he sees my old guard come up. He's doing a cav charge from the back. I saw it pretty early, so I'm going to move my lights away and I'm going to form a square. Unfortunately, he still manages to get a hit on some of my lights, but I saw him pretty early. Those 2 cav units will rout away without too much damage to my men at all. As you see, the old guard there in square. The other unit doesn't form square. I don't know why. I'm sure I told it to. But this game also was quite laggy, so when a game lags, you find it very difficult for the units to actually do as you command them to. There you go, they finally form square in the background there now. Sometimes when you give orders to form square and quickly move your units around, because of the amount of lag, they don't seem to do it straight away. And here on the right, it looks like I'm losing. Somehow I've managed to actually win that with the Polish units I've got, even though they're heavily depleted. I managed to win that. My artillery is still firing down on these units as well now. There's a line. I think I start firing at the old guard as well to try and kill them off, because as I say, they cause us a lot of problems in the centre. So over on this side, Australian seemed to get himself into a little bit of trouble. He manages to pretty much get himself out of it. He pulls away, but I think between him and Decrew, their lines weren't tight enough together. So Rizgard also put his general in a foot guard unit, which is something really you did in Empire. In Napoleon, I find it much more profitable to put it in its own unit and get one of the generals. I normally get a staff general, because they do make a huge difference to the battle. If you lose your general, you do tend to find that your units rout very, very quickly. This is one of my Polish units just firing off. Luckily the foot guard aren't firing at them, they're firing at the other unit. And my old guard are moving up again. I think one of my old guard units is going to try and go melee on the lights, as they're outranging me and they're firing and running. So fire and run, or kitting, can be a very annoying tactic, as you tend to lose a lot of men and you don't ever really get a shot off at them. So the only way to deal with that really is have the cavalry or go melee on them. So I believe one of my old guard units is going to go melee in a minute. As you can see now on the battle map, I'm pretty much completely round Rizgard now, and most of his lines are depleted. I think he's only got 2 lines left now and 2 light units. Unfortunately I didn't have any cavalry. I should have probably saved the cavalry, but because of the amount of cavalry that Rizgard had, I didn't find it possible to keep any back. I felt as if I had to use it all to stop their cavalry from making any moves on me. Okay, well now as you can see, my French heavily outnumber the Prussian army, and they're also much better quality units that I've got left. There is one unit of foot guard left that didn't seem to be doing much. This is my old guard going melee on their lights. They rout away very quickly, as they would. Lights aren't really meant for melee. And they're going to swing around and try and get the other unit as well. And now I'm just giving Decrew a helping hand now. I get a chance to flank, so I'm just bringing a couple of units round onto Decrew's flank to give him a helping hand. And this is pretty much the end of the battle now. Really nothing more happened apart from me just turning on the enemy and Decrew and Australian finishing off. There's a few GB lines left down the bottom, which the crew deals with, and that was pretty much the end of the battle. As you can see on the battle map, at the bottom of the map there was a few GB lines, but that's about it. So that was the end of the battle. Basically the whole thing relied on the fact of me taking my flank. As soon as I did that, it was easy enough to swing round and take the advantage. And it was a very good game to BSA. They were a lot better than we expected them to be. They were probably the second best clan we've fought, bar Huntsman. They gave us the most problems, I believe. So good game BSA, thank you very much.